India's workhorse rocket, the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, is back on the launch pad. It is launching as a main passenger a very interesting surveillance satellite. But the more interesting part of this launch is the Indian private sector participation in this launch. History is being made for ISRO, India's private sector space. And to explain some of that, I have with me Mr. Vishal Lata Balakumar, the Space Missions Director for Dhruva Space. And this is the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, which is getting ready at the launch pad for the liftoff. And the PSLV is coming back after a failure. Vishal, thanks a lot for speaking to me. Are you jittery about this launch because the PSLV is coming back after a failure?
Absolutely not. PSLV has always been reliable and it stays to be. So we are having a whole bunch of missions on them. We have 5 deployers with 7 different missions, 7 different satellites that we are launching on a single launch right now.
So the main passenger is a surveillance satellite, which is a heavy satellite, and the others are co-passengers. Is that right?
There are 15 odd co-passengers that are going with this launch, and all of them are a mix of private and a whole bunch of other student satellites and so on and so forth.
Now, what is special about this for Dhruva Space, and why is it so special for India?
This is a very exciting mission for us where we are bringing in multiple aspects of a complete space mission together. We have built some of these satellites. We are supplying deployers for all of the missions that we are deploying as part of this mission. And for certain missions on these satellites, we are also providing ground station as a service. So it pretty much brings in the infrastructure on the space side of things, the launch side of things with deployers, on the ground side of things with mission operations, pretty much building critical infrastructure across the domain for ours as well as our customer satellites here. And pretty much on all of these are predominantly from the Indian side of things, and we do have certain other customers as well where we're providing these end-to-end support towards realizing them and successfully running their missions.
So end-to-end on satellite, except the rocket.
That would be accurate. Yes.
That would be accurate?
Yes, that would be accurate.
Now we can see the top part of the rocket, and tell me, this is the surveillance satellite on top, and tell us where and what is deployed.
So here's the primary payload or the primary satellite on the launch vehicle, and underneath we have the multi-satellite adapter deck. So we have our 6U deployer with one of our customers there with a 6U satellite. Then we have 2 1U deployers with Sanskar Sat and
what is this satellite?
So this particular satellite has an onboard imaging with certain intelligence on it towards deriving insights from that particular image and so on and so forth. So that is a privately owned satellite from India as well.
Who's owning this satellite?
So this satellite is owned by Take Me to Space from Hyderabad.
Okay.
And we have 2 of these private satellites, one from Ahmedabad, Sanskar Sat, which is made by a private company, CubeSat Aerospace, for another academic institution towards bringing awareness and education for their students. And there's another satellite here, which is Munal Sat, which is built by them, where we're providing the deployer as well. This one. Okay. The satellite is from Nepal itself. So on the other side, we have 2 more deployers where we have collaborated and co-developed a half-U satellite towards assisting low data rate communication, towards supporting disaster management sensors on the ground and so on. That is something that was 3 different satellites were built along with 3 different universities. One is your Dayanand Sagar University from Karnataka, then you have C.V. Raman Global University from Odisha, and then Assam Don Bosco University, of course, from Assam. So across the country, we've collaborated with these universities towards building these satellites, and along with that, we have our own series of satellite where we had launched.
Let us take a look at your own satellite.
Yes.
Is this the satellite which is there, made by Dhruva?
Yes, these are we made these satellites before. We launched the first 2 of them on PSLV C54. We are launching the 3rd installment of the satellite on C50.
What is the name of this?
So this is Thybolt 3 that is getting launched as part of this
And
launch.
what does Thybolt mean?
So Thybolt, it's basically more power to you, giving more power to what is being done. The idea is that connecting ground-based wireless sensor networks towards getting these critical intelligence from the ground, critical data from the ground, and putting it through space to these satellites and bringing it to any control center back in the ground, so that we can have remote area monitoring, remote access for be it agriculture or aquaculture or oil and mining and so on and so forth. There
So
are
these two Thybolts, which are being flown on the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, Dhruva Space has made the satellites. And for whom have you made?
So we made 4 of them. Out of the where the 3 of them were co-developed with these 3 universities, and the last one is something that we made it for ourselves, where we'll be doing our own operations using them.
So what will you be testing?
So we have a certain bunch of ground wireless sensor networks, be it connecting places where GSM and Wi-Fi and so on and so forth is not available. So it serves and demonstrates a store and forward operation using these data that comes through. So a little bit of these sensor data gets collected on the ground. It gets sent to the Thybolt 3. Then it comes to our ground stations that we have a few bunch of places in India. And then that way we provide connectivity to remote places in terms of machine to machine or IoT communication.
And how large are these Thybolts? What is the weight?
These are about 750 grams, almost the size of a tiffin box, I'd like to say. And but they're quite powerful for what they do, and they operate in UHF band.
And how long do they last in space?
The planned mission life is 1 year. So post which, considering the altitude that we are in, they will naturally decay and re-entry.
Now, satellites is one thing, but you're also doing mission operations. And for mission operations, what have you set up different people, and what are these?
So we have, as part of these 3 university missions where they've co-developed, we have also established UHF, VHF ground stations at their facilities. So these facilities.
So these are the UHF.
These are the UHF, VHF ground stations at various academic institutes that we are working with. So these ground stations will be used for operating their own satellites. So this is one aspect of the things that we're doing. The other satellites that we mentioned about, and there is also another satellite from IUSat. The satellite is called IUSat from Orbitate. And then you have MOI-1 from TM2 Space. For these 2 satellites, we are providing ground station as a service. So we got the very first license for providing ground station as a service from the Indian soil, from InSpace, the past few years. And these are the very first customers that we are serving using our own ground station towards operating their own missions as a service. So that is exactly what we're doing here.
And there are other co-passengers as well. I know you are not part of them. What are those?
As we understand from publicly available data, there is an Earth observation satellite from a collaboration between Thailand and UK. And then you have another re-entry system from Spain and France. And there are a few other very small satellites from Brazil as well. Yes.
So one passenger, main passenger, and how many total satellites?
If I'm not wrong, it's 15 total passengers.
And of which Dhruva is helping with how many?
We are supporting deployment of 7 satellites out of the 15 co-passengers.
It's never been done before like this?
As a private organization, I believe that we are the first ones to do it on this side of the planet or in the country. Yeah.
Has it been nice to do it?
It has been very, very rewarding. I mean, of course, hectic, but very fulfilling when we've been speaking about full stack space engineering solution, and then finally the proof is in the pudding, and we are doing it in terms of supporting the Indian ecosystem, building the Indian infrastructure, Indian space infrastructure. And I think this, from our point of view, will set up the baseline for a lot of things that we as an ecosystem can do together for what we are bringing together as an ecosystem in the country itself.
One of the most challenging things in India is to get the frequency allocations. How did you manage to do that? Because you have so many different customers, different frequencies. It's very hard to do that.
So fortunately, a few years ago when we launched our first 2 satellites, we had done the same thing before. And we have a very, very strong regulatory team which has put in their blood, sweat and tears, I would like to say. But of course, it's pretty much, we understand how it works. We've been doing it day in, day out. and we've gotten our licenses. I think as long as you do it right, things are gonna move the right way. So
And
yes.
what next after these 7?
We have always had large plans, as you might have known, as it's on the public domain. So we've been building larger platforms, 50-kilogram platforms, which was launched a couple of months ago. We're building more missions on that side of things. Larger platforms, more than 100-kilogram platforms, are also missions that we are building currently, and a lot more is in the pipeline for us.
Exciting time for space and to be a space company in India?
Absolutely, because it's not just about the space side of things, it's completely supported by the ground segment as well, which is absolutely critical. For us, beyond all of these deploys and missions that we're doing, in addition to that, the ground station as a service is incredibly interesting for us. Away from these platforms, this side of things is also taking up quite well, and we're looking at setting up that larger infrastructure across the country towards doing that. So it's definitely exciting. I think I wouldn't be able to find better words than that, but yes, that's where we are now.
Congratulations to you for having achieved what you have achieved, and let us look forward to a successful liftoff and the deployment of all the satellites in the correct orbits.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for being here. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot for speaking to me.
Thank you.
So that was Mr. Vishal telling us it's not just satellites they are making, but the end-to-end spectrum of all the satellite services. Very soon, you will see these companies doing incredibly well for us in India. The space earlier was done only by the Indian Space Research Organization, and now we have a burgeoning space ecosystem where private space companies like Dhruva Space are doing extremely well. If India has to become a developed country, we need many, many more satellites. And India offers a great opportunity for the world to come and launch from India and make in India. So not just Thybolt, but end-to-end spectrum of activities in satellite being perfected by Dhruva Space. The Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, which is coming back after a failure, will create history if it successfully launches the main passenger and the co-passengers in the right orbit. And that would be a beginning for the private space sector in India to take a new launch space. At the headquarters of Dhruva Space in Hyderabad, Pallav Bagla for NDTV.